And it's the main man here to show you some magic on the beautiful beaches. I'm taking some time to draw Chokurei, the first sign of Reiki, as I've just completed the first segment of healing with my dear friend Heaing. We worked on the root chakra, and now that we've released negative energies, we're going to add positive ones. So, stay tuned to see what that looks like. Okay. So here I am placing the tuning forks on the iliac crest, that upper ridge of the hip bone, activating root chakra. I'm using Eileen McCusick's Biofield tuning sonic sliders. This is attuned to the 12th harmonic of the Schumann resonance, also known as the heartbeat of the earth. So we're anchoring in earth energies, 93.96 hertz. This is going to bring stagnant energies to the surface, which you can see she's starting to feel. It's intense.
That's good.
You can see that her body is responding to the frequency. There's a deep inhale and exhale, releasing stagnant energies. And here I am utilizing the tuning forks to work the aura, and I'm actually going over the root and the heart because my intention is to bridge these two together. And so the beauty of the tuning forks is they also work the energetic body, and you'll see she's pulsing. This is kind of akin to the work of Donnie Epstein with somato-respiratory integration. It's like a very interesting chiropractic, based on my understanding. I mean, it's all spinal, but it's like this, it's a new form of chiropractic modality, and it works the nervous system. Other people in this area are Dr. Chelsea Ray and Dr. Brian Thomas Alum from Genius Frequency. They do a lot of amazing work back home in Asheville, North Carolina. The purpose of all of this work is to activate the body's automatic response. You know, we have the capacity, our bodies have the capacity to heal itself, and the sound is what triggers that. So here I'm using the forks to calm the nervous system through the ears, connected to the vagus nerve. And you can see she's got her hands on her heart, kind of anchoring in and releasing the holding patterns in her body, because all the trauma, all the stress over the years we're holding. We're in like a constant holding pattern. So the sound is going to relax the system and allow the body to do what it knows intuitively to do and how to treat the stress and the muscle, even the skeletal structure. To that effect, something that I remember from my beloved Reiki master, Esther Sabatino, she says that the hands go where the body needs healing. And just to follow that, so you'll see she fluctuates from moving her hands to her heart and moving her hands to her root. And the Reiki goes where it needs to go as universal life force energy. It's a really beautiful thing that I like to couple other modalities with. It's a core practice of mine, alongside the tuning forks, of course. This looks like a very violent reaction, but it's important to know that this is the body's response, because there's a form of massage where it's, I forget the name, but the practice is hypertension, like focusing, like it's like an active resistance. And then once you release, all of a sudden you have the muscle relaxing more than it usually does. So it's also similar to like strength training in ways. I know people who go into a physical exercise and then end up having trauma releases involuntarily, because what they're doing is they're applying that the same amount of intensity, right? Almost like matching the frequency of a wine glass, like singing operatic and then breaking the glass. So we're meeting the trauma in that frequency, at the frequency of the holding pattern, and then opening it to release. Eileen McCusick's book, Tuning the Human Biofield, describes the aura as like rings of a tree. So the closer you are to the body, the newer trauma experiences we're working on. And the further from the body, as you'll see here, are working more distant traumas from earlier in life. So roughly like 6 to 12 feet, I think, is the range of the human aura, at least in immediate terms. And what's happening is I'm meeting her somewhere halfway in her life, in her early adulthood, and then working my way down into the more immediate traumas through which she's experienced. Once again, returning to the root and the heart. In my personal experience, I seem to get the most impact from the places that produce the most stress, which are cranial, hip, and in the joints, particularly the ankles and the soles of the feet. If I were to record the first segment of the session, you would see me working around in the suboccipitals, which are at C1 atlas vertebrae, where the head is resting and hinges and tilts and pans on that first vertebrae. All of these points hold incredible amounts of stress, and focusing on them tends to work the rest of the system, as you saw earlier with her whole body kind of flexing and moving in response. So here I'm just working the temples. It was a really magnificent discovery of mine during my days in massage school to find that calcium, in terms of minerals and metals, is the most conductive electrically per mass. And when you think about the human body and the skeletal structure being made of calcium, and you think about megalithic structures such as the pyramids and discoveries of them being electromagnetic, or in my case magnoelectric conductors, these spiritual power plants, it makes absolute sense. And so even though this work deeply benefits the muscular structure of our body, I tend to focus on the bone, the skeletal structure. Because what happens is the frequency induces electrical current, and the electrical current travels through the calcium in our bones and through the soft tissue insertion points, the connected points of the muscle body, the belly, as they like to call it, and you tend to get a more holistic, a more comprehensive effect using the bone as the amplifier and the medium through which to help the muscles release. So here Yaim is requesting that I work on the ridges of her eyes, which is very interesting because earlier in the session I was receiving psychic messages through my Reiki 2 attunement to work with her eyes and her third eye and the crown chakra and the brow chakra. So for her to make that request is, one part like my intuition being proven through not sharing, but her, personal request. And then two, working with a lot of intuitives, a lot of highly sensitive people and empaths, they carry their own intuition and knowing, and they listen to their bodies. And so working with them in that fashion creates a very fun environment to explore these things and make it wonderful for them in co-creating their own healing. Anytime you see me breathing like that, that's kind of what I call energetic burn off. So I'm just breathing through any of the energies that are leaving her and channeling through me as the practitioner, as the conduit. Here we've got my little signature move called the pendulum cleanse. I like taking the forks and, as Eileen McCusick teaches, combing the biofield, the aura, right? But for me, it's It's brushing and sweeping, kind of dusting the body off and using gravity, you know, that magnoelectric energy to kind of amplify and work the body in that way. So here we're rounding out, we're finalizing the Biofield tuning work, aka auric cleanse, by just resetting, releasing, relaxing the vagus nerve. Here I'm doing a little intuitive Choku Ray, giving her energy. The same symbol that I drew in the sand at the beginning of this video, I'm now drawing in my mind and anchoring that energy into her crown so that she can receive more energy, more intuitive downloads, have that peace of mind, and feel energized coming out of the session rather than, you know, massage drunk or sleepy or in a subliminal space. Okay, coming to a close with this demonstration of kind of a twofold practice with Reiki and Biofield tuning. If you are interested in having a session for yourself, feel free to check out the links below in the description. Also, take a look at some of the videos that I'm going to be posting to kind of share more information from other experts and professionals. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them as well, and see you next time.